What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report for Friday, August 5th. Now, I want to address something that is extremely important because we are now starting to get reports from lawmakers themselves that say it's now or never. They have to get something done. And I bring this up because tomorrow afternoon, on Saturday, the Senate plans to actually convene and vote on the $740 billion climate and tax bill. This is what they're calling the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. There's a problem though. They're not sure if they will have all the votes to actually get it passed. This is where there's going to be some negotiations happening on the final days. Now, here's the interesting part about this $740 billion budget reconciliation bill that the Senate is going to try to pass tomorrow. And I say try to pass because, again, we don't know if they have the votes. But according to President Biden, he says that this bill will lower inflation, and he wants Congress to quickly pass this bill for America. But then there's a group of more than 230 economists that believe this spending bill will actually cause inflation to continue to run hot. Now, here's the truth. Both of these statements are factually correct. In the short term, between 0 and 3 months, this bill, according to experts, will likely not do anything to inflation. So President Biden is right. But what happens in 3 months? Well, we are the beginning of August. Got September, October, beginning of November. What happens in the beginning of November? Yeah, it's the midterm elections. So pretty much what this bill is going to do is, according to multiple experts, we're not going to see inflation until after the midterm elections. Here's the reason why. Economists say that they believe that the $433 billion in proposed spending, this is their statement, and I quote, would create immediate inflationary pressures by boosting demand, while the supply side tax hikes would constrain supply by discouraging investment and draining the private sector of much needed resources. So let's dig into that, because, and again, there's a lot to unpack here, but it says it would create immediate inflationary pressure by boosting demand. Where would demand be boosted? Well, on EV, on electric vehicles, on solar. This is what we're going to get. We're going to see people going out there and spending money on a car they really can't afford because, you know what? It comes with a tax credit. Yeah. And then as far as the supply side, they say while the supply side tax hikes would constrain supply by discouraging investment. It would. If you are taxing the businesses, do you think they're going to want to invest more back into their company to make it bigger? No, they're not going to want to do that. So yes, it will drain the private sector of these much needed resources. But again, that's just from 230 plus economists. But you got President Biden saying, no, it's not going to raise inflation. Well, President Biden firmly disagrees with this because he says this, and I quote, "This is the strongest bill you can pass to lower inflation. Continue to cut the deficit, reduce healthcare costs, tackle a climate crisis, and promote America's energy security and reduce the burdens facing working class and middle class families." Now, I have a problem with this. And the reason I have a problem with this, and I addressed this just the other day, is because multiple tax experts anticipate that the $80 billion that is going to come from this bill and go directly to the IRS, that is going to hurt low and middle income households. Yeah. How are we going to say that, oh, this is going to help the working class and the middle class families, but at the same time, hey, guess what? We're going to tax you more. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Well, I also heard from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell just this week as well, and he said, and I quote, "Democrats are catastrophically out of touch with what American families actually care about. Their approval ratings show it, and their reckless taxing and spending spree proves it as well." Now, granted, some of the ratings lately have been improving for Democrats. The problem is it's still very, very low. Many people don't want to see that they are just going to tax us even more and then spend more money, and in many cases not even here in the United States. Let's just send all of our resources to other countries. Yeah. Oh yeah, take my money and then send it away. Yeah, the American people don't like that. I know I don't like it, and you probably don't as well. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But here's what you need to know. There are some senators that are not fully on board with this plan just yet. And again, these are Senators Bernie Sanders and Senator Kyrsten Sinema. I want to touch on what Bernie Sanders is saying right now. Because Bernie Sanders, he's not 100% on board with this plan because according to him, he says, and I quote, "As currently written, this is an extremely modest bill that does virtually nothing to address the enormous crisis facing the working families of our country." And he goes on to say, "It falls far short of what the American people want, what they need, and what they are begging us for." Now, Bernie Sanders is not happy with this bill because it doesn't include the majority of the Build Back Better Act. Because keep in mind, back when progressives were pushing I think it started out at like $3.5 trillion, $5 trillion, whatever it was, came down as like $2.5 trillion Build Back Better Act. That's what they were pushing. And Senator Joe Manchin, he was on board with the bipartisan infrastructure bill. This happened about a year ago. Now, what happened in this case was progressives said if Senator Joe Manchin doesn't vote for their bill, they will not vote for his. And he told them. And President Biden jumped in and said, "Don't worry, I got this. We're going to make sure both of these bills get passed. Let's just vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and then we'll come back immediately after and we'll pass the Build Back Better Act." Guess what? Senator Joe Manchin, and well, not just him, but everybody, it was a bipartisan bill. It was a bipartisan effort. They got the bipartisan infrastructure bill passed of like $1.2 trillion. Well, then immediately after that, he said no, he didn't support the Build Back Better Act. And he drug Democrats on and progressives on all the way until December. And then he said, you know what? I don't like it because it could cause additional inflation. Well, that's why Senator Bernie Sanders isn't happy. He doesn't like Senator Joe Manchin at this time because he's been holding up this bill for the past year. Now, this bill that Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Chuck Schumer actually, provided us with, right, gave us some details on it. This does not include any payments for the child tax credits. There's no universal pre-K, which Senator Joe Manchin was originally on board with before. There's no Medicare expansion, which Senator Joe Manchin didn't want to include this anyway, because he said we need to shore up Social Security and Medicare first before we expand them. And then earlier this week, I believe it was on Wednesday or Thursday, Senator Bernie Sanders, he read a letter. And in the letter, it called this bill, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, they called it the Climate Suicide Pact. Yeah, not a good title to have on a bill. And then we go over to Senator Kyrsten Sinema. And right now, lawmakers are attempting to get her on board with this bill. There's still some that say she's not going to accept it. I have a feeling that if she is pressed, she would accept parts of this bill, but things might have to be pulled out. So who knows if they really can do this through a reconciliation. But again, we'll see. But she is one of the ones that has said multiple times that this bill needs many changes. And she said she wants to see $5 billion included into this bill for drought resiliency. She also wants to include, or actually exclude, the carried interest loophole because currently it's in this bill. And the final straw, she says, if this bill doesn't get the approval of the Senate parliamentarian, which needs to happen before the final vote, then she would not rule against the parliamentarian, and more changes would have to be made in order to pass the bill because she would not vote against her. So, here's why lawmakers, though, are pushing for this bill to be passed on Saturday. Again, tomorrow. The Senate goes on recess for over 1 month, pretty much the entirety of August and the first week or so of September. They go on recess for pretty much over a month. meaning that these next couple of days are going to be critical because that's all they have. If they vote to move forward with this reconciliation bill tomorrow afternoon, then what happens is that sets them up for something called the vote-a-rama right afterwards. So the reason why this is so important, and again, I want you to fully understand this, is because Democrats believe that without this bill, they will not have anything to show their voters, and this could actually cost them the midterms. All right, and if we see Democrats lose, I think it's like 10 seats in the House, then it would flip from a Democratic House of Representatives to a Republican House of Representatives. And if they lose just one seat in the Senate, and the expectation is they're going to lose 3, if they lose just one seat, it would go from a Democratic Senate with the Senate Majority Leader being Chuck Schumer to a Republican Senate, which then the Senate Majority Leader would be Senator Mitch McConnell, and he will allow all bills to just go there and die if he does not believe in them. So that's kind of where we're at this point. If you guys have questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. I promise I will be here every step of the way this weekend, try to fill you in on what we're seeing, what's happening when the final bill does pass. Honestly, if it passes, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of changes, but once we really see what's in this bill, once it really gets opened up, I promise I'll fill you in on everything that is in it, what has passed, and what we could expect moving forward. So that's what we know at this time. As always, if you have any questions, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.